Most small business owners don't fail because of a lack of passion. They fail because they're running blind. I'm Mark Andersen, and I help small business owners make data-driven decisions using the information from their accounting records. My mission is simple. I want to make a dent in the small business failure rate by teaching you how to use your finances to make better decisions. Welcome to Business on the Run. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Business on the Run with Mark Andersen. Today, I'm here with Ryan Herpin, and just super excited to have you with us. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here. Such a pleasure.
Absolutely. So you help small business owners in this area, and I don't know how broad your reach is, but maybe you can tell us a little bit about just what you do and the business that you're in, the name of the, I know you've partnered up with somebody. So tell us a little about your business and how you help small business owners.
Yep. So the name of the business is called Impact Strategies Consulting. The whole mindset of starting this thing was I ran a couple large businesses once upon a time, and I hired consultants. But there's one thing that I consistently was grinding my gears, and it was they always added more to my plate. They never took things away. They might have simplified stuff, but I always ended up with more to do. My team ended up bogged down, and it was frustrating. So after helping my business partner get a 33 multiplier exit from his business, we kind of figured out, oh, hey, we're good at doing this whole business thing. Let's start a firm. And we just kind of took the methodologies we had and let it run. But one thing that we wanted to do differently was we want to take hats off your head, own it, train somebody, delegate it to them. You never have to wear it again. But really, we help small businesses all shapes and sizes. We come at it from a consulting perspective. Okay, operations can improve, sales, marketing, whatever it is. But ultimately, the one thing I found consistent is your business is only as successful as its people, and it starts with a leader. So where people think, oh, I'm going to come in, we're going to help with spreadsheets and manage things and simplify stuff. Sure. But none of it's going to stick. None of it's really going to be effective unless the people and the leaders changing all at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's why kind of any business really applies. Doesn't matter what it is.
Very cool. How long have you guys been in business?
Oh, goodness. It's been a few years now. I think we were official in 2023, I think it was. But I was running 3 businesses when I started the consulting firm. My business partner, after he had his exit, I took over his company for a while. I scaled it with a global giant quite a bit. And then I was like, okay, I'm working my life away.
Right.
But I was like, hey, I need to get out of here. He said, hey, I started 2 other businesses. You helped me make the last one a success. Let's go do this. And we'll start the firm at the same time. But we didn't really start operating like crazy until the end of probably 2023 is when we really start putting nose to grindstone.
Okay. And you said you came from Michigan. When and where did your professional career start? Can you tell us a little about, I guess, give me your resume from, the very first professional job to where you are right now.
Oh, this is fun.
Right?
This is a fun conversation.
Right.
This is usually a polarizing conversation, actually.
Oh, okay, good.
And this is fun for me because, we come from the bottom end of the lower class in Michigan. My older brother's the first person in my family to receive a college education.
Okay.
And I'll be honest, the collegiate route was not for me. I went through school. I was a great student, don't get me wrong, but I made a lot of questionable decisions, to say the least. And I decided, I'm good with my hands, learn how to work on cars, tear things apart, and I put myself through trade school. I became a certified welding technician by the time I was 18 and was classified as a master welder by the time I was 21. And it's crazy because it started there. And I decided, hey, if I'm going to be successful in this career, I need to go where the work is. Texas. Moved down here, made my first 6 figures at 22.
Oh, wow.
As a welder. No one in my family that I knew ever made that much money. It blew me away. And I was like, okay, well, how much further can I go?
Yeah.
I met a good mentor at a company after outgrowing a previous one. And he's like, hey, I need someone to think outside the box. I was like, okay, well, I can do that. And he said, hey, there's a position that's available. Haven't decided who's going to have it. He said, I've got people with master's degrees and years of experience in operations, but they all seem to think the same kind of way. I need someone different. I said, so starting tomorrow, you're the supervisor of this production line. I was like, okay, all right. Never done that before. Went from 12 guys to 38, grew production by 110% in about 9 months. And he took me under his wing, began to mentor me. 4 years, I ended up taking over as director of operations, and I learned business trial by fire. It was, you have no box. If you see a problem, you find the source, you destroy it. You implement a permanent solution, but you can't do it yourself. The only way you're allowed to do it is through others. He said, so you have to learn how to be a leader by serving these people. And through service, you're going to learn how to get them to the destination, but it's their idea.
Great philosophy. I want to make one thing. I think I picked up on something. You were talking about education earlier. So no college degree?
No college degree.
I like that.
School of hard
I like
knocks.
that. And the reason that I think that's amazing is that so many people, common thread in our society for many years now, where hey, you gotta go to college and you've got to get a degree, and we talked a little about this when we had coffee a few weeks back. Where Charlie Kirk has really kind of dispelled that myth.
Yeah.
And you did it before I ever even heard it from Charlie Kirk, right? Which I think is so cool. So you figured that out all on your own, and here you are now helping, or you've been through, like you said earlier, a 33x exit. And if you don't mind, can you tell the listeners a little about what you mean by that? Because not everybody's going to fully understand 33x. I know it's going to be that's the multiple of EBITDA. But you say EBITDA here, and it's like you and I know what that means, but some others might not. Right. So talk a little about that.
Yep. Yeah. I can break this down. My number one methodology for anything business is cardboard and crayons.
Yeah.
If you can't make it as simple as cardboard and crayons, it's got chances to fail. But when it comes to understand that, it's essentially, you've got a certain value of a business, which is EBITDA. And I could dive into the details, but ultimately you're looking to multiply it. If you look at the overall value and what someone would be willing to pay, depending on the market position, the scalability, the uniqueness of whatever market you're in, that significantly changes that multiplier. So if you find a product or service that is very unique or up and coming or soon to be very sought after, you capitalize on the opportunity. Now the pool of people that are interested in your business grows significantly. And in our case, we went from roughly $12 million of annual revenue to, I can't remember exactly where we were before the sale transition, but the sale was just shy of $200 million. And it was a major exit for the business owners, which unfortunately I wasn't a part of that deal, except for I took everything over afterwards. But it's all about how to make a business as appealing as possible to someone who might be interested in taking.
So essentially there's two metrics in this equation, right? You've got your EBITDA, which I'm going to translate that, and you tell me if you disagree with me or not, please. But essentially that is operating income. It's what the business does. It's core business. It throws out things like unusual gains, interest, depreciation, all the things that you and I know about. So it's essentially the operating income of the business times the multiplier, right? And that multiplier, in my opinion anyway, is really what determines the value. You've got profit times the multiplier, right? So the lower that multiplier, the less valuable your business, the more that multiplier. First of all, what was the industry? And second of all, what was the going rate, if you will? What was the typical multiplier for that industry? What bridged that gap?
The industry it was liquid natural gas applications. So oil and gas industry, mainly liquid nitrogen, argon, hydrogen, things like that. So essentially giant cryogenic, it's like giant Yeti bottles on wheels.
Okay.
For natural gases, right? And it's a very competitive industry. There's a few big names. We were one of the ones leading the market in our product specifically. Best way to explain it is we were very diverse, and the typical exit, the typical multiplier that you would see in the industry can be anywhere between 8 to 12. 12 is like, that's fantastic, especially with the size that we were. But what bridged the gap was we dove into a market where there's only 2 other companies in the world that have done it efficiently. And we were one of the only ones on this hemisphere. So that changed everything. When we developed the product successfully, proved that it was, able to be done, and it was safe and reliable, market completely shifted.
I want to talk a little bit more about the specifics behind how you're currently serving small business owners, right? Can you tell us a little bit about really kind of what a typical client is for you guys nowadays?
Yeah, so typical can be kind of relative as we dove into so many different industries at this point, but Typical is a team that there's a misnomer that's out there, or at least a misconception that we only work with people that are failing or struggling. Not necessarily. Majority of our clients are people that are already doing okay, but they want to go faster.
Sure.
They want to reach their goals sooner. They want to expedite success, right? So it can be a business anywhere between 5, 10 employees to 150 easily. And that's kind of a good range for us where we like to maneuver. The bigger you get, the more red tape you got to deal with, and harder it is to get decisions made and implementation. But really, the objective for us is we first identify what your goals are. What is it you have a vision for? We talk about exit strategy. What do you have in mind? Let's set some milestone goals, and let's map out how to get there. So it's different for every business we work with, but ultimately it boils down to we will help you make things systematic, automated, easy as can be, but at the same time, we're going to help turn people into leaders.
Really, it sounds like you're talking a lot about process. I want to talk a little bit more about the exit part of it, because when you come in and start working with somebody, do you have them kind of map out what their exit should be? Because I don't know, to me, one of the biggest tragedies that I see, and I mean, I don't see it like every day, but I see it more often than I'd like. And that is people just shut the doors to their business when they want to stop working. And I'm like, wait a minute, why are you doing that? Through good accounting and good preparation and a lot of those other intangibles, you can position your business in a way that you can sell it to somebody.
Yes.
You're like, look, you may not want to exit now. I'm assuming you probably have that a lot, right? But you should be thinking about it at some point in the future, at least positioning the business to do that.
Yes.
Because I guess you never know when that guy comes knocking on the door and go, hey, I'd like to buy your business.
That is the truth.
Yeah.
That is the truth.
Tell us about that a little bit.
It's funny. Majority of the clients I work with, when we start talking about exit strategy, they are the business. Even if they have 10, 15, 20 employees, they're still the face.
Yeah.
They're still the engine that's really making things happen. One thing that, I'm sure you and I both could agree on is in most businesses, it's 20% of the people doing 80% of the work.
Of course.
That is consistent no matter where you go. Now, there are unique situations where teams have figured things out a little better, but the owner tends to be an operator at the same time. So the biggest and
guilty as charged.
Yeah, the biggest and first hurdle is get the owner from being an operator to a manager, high-level observer, the watcher of the watchers, right? That type of deal. But from there, it really turns into, okay, you are not the business anymore. This team, this platform, this brand is the business.
Yeah.
Now, how do you refine that systematically, make things as foolproof as possible? I hate to say it like that, but really the cardboard and crayon methodology really works. If you make it so easy a toddler can do it, well, people fail a lot less.
So then are you guiding business owners then to really, and maybe this is the wrong terminology, but I'm going to use it anyway, is you're taking them from being the technician or the operator and really kind of putting them on the plane as more of an investor to their business.
Yes.
Is that accurate to say?
That is definitely the goal. Go from the weeds to 10,000 feet and even further than that if possible.
To where they're literally out of the business. Because how many points do you think? And obviously this is different. Let's say you were thinking about, we're talking about the 33X transaction you were talking about, right? If that business owner was involved in the business the way that you see a lot of people that you typically take on initially, how many points does that take away from the multiplier, you think?
Oh, goodness.
I know that's a very vague.
Yeah, I would say easily, goodness, you could be anywhere between 5 to 10, realistically. It depends on the business, but like a business even that size, where you're right around the 10 to $15 million revenue mark, if the owners are the ones making everything go round, what kind of safety is there for someone who's going to be interested in potentially buying the business? When you evaluate it, there's a lot of risk involved.
Yeah.
Because if you take these pieces out of the equation, everything might crumble. So it's having that structured contingency of, okay, I've got delegation under control where this person's trained, this person's trained, this person's trained. They might not even know they're doing the executive's job yet, which happened in my case. I had no idea I was doing the COO's job for a year before I filled those shoes and title changed because, I was part of a bigger entity at that point, but I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was doing his entire job. I was actually preparing his presentations for the board meetings.
Nice.
I had no idea that's what he was using it for. He said, present it to me. Next thing you know, he'd just take it and he'd use it. And it trained me and got me prepared to where I had no idea, but the transition was already made. So when the exit happened,
You fit
he
right
had
in.
all the pay downs.
Yeah.
He had all of it. He
Yeah.
got all of it. And he didn't actually have to be the one there operating it anymore
Yeah.
because I already filled the role.
OPT,
So it
other
works.
people's time.
Yeah, it worked and it worked well.
It really reminds me. I can think of one client that that came to me not too long ago, and he was like, "Mark, I want to sell my business," and I knew. I mean, I knew this is the guy that is in the weeds doing 100% of the work.
Oh.
100% of the work. He had some people that were working with him that he supervised and that sort of thing, and I was very blunt with him, and I said, nobody wants your job. You can't sell your job, right? Or you could sell your job, but you're not going to get as much for it if what you're selling is a job. You're not selling a business, you're selling a job. And that was really a big light bulb for him, and he's working to kind of move away from that at this point. So it's you know,
like
it's
the way you put
interesting
that.
to see that light bulb go on in people's heads when it comes to the business. So
It's funny. There's a couple of businesses I know of right now. A great example, plumbing company. I won't name them, but they're doing going on $3 million revenue a year. The owner's the only person actually in the business. The rest are contractors. He has an idea of, at some point I'm going to sell the business. Well, you better start figuring that out now.
yeah,
You have no other resources.
yeah,
You're trying to handle all the billing, everything. This is recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But there is one fact that a lot of entrepreneurs that are self-made successful, so to say, have a lot of pride and ego that can get in the way.
yeah.
It's when you understand you can't do it alone.
I think the hardest part is releasing control to others. Did you agree with that?
Yes.
I know that that's something that I've certainly struggled with, and I am certainly not 100% out of my business, but I will say this, I am almost 100% out of operations.
That's
right?
huge.
So that's a huge step in the right direction, and now it's just kind of tweaking some of those other areas and kind of identifying, okay, this is the silo I need to work on now, which is marketing and sales, right? But at least you have the path forward and you know what's got to get done, I guess. So you have 2 different television shows, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Tell me a little about these 2 shows.
Yeah, you'll never hear me brag about these things, really. It's to me, it just, I don't know. At first, it seemed really exciting, and it's cool, don't get me wrong, but I just like talking to people and being in front of people. It's I just want to transfer some value. But one show is called The Bottom Line, where I started that a little over a year ago. My expectation was, hey, give me some good marketing material for my keynote speaking. Well, it turned into where I just spend that show focusing on what makes somebody successful as a person, whether it's as a spouse, as a parent, as a business owner, whatever it may be. There are common denominators for success, no matter how you define it. And that show, both of my shows you can find on Now Media Television.
What was it called?
The Bottom Line.
No,
and the network is Now
network.
Media Television.
Now Media? Got it.
Yep. It's podcast platforms, radio, national television, you name it. We're probably there kind of like all over the web like a spider.
Sure.
But growing rapidly. And my other show is called Biz Talk. I actually assumed that one. It's been on air since 2019. It was hosted by a few other people, and there was some kind of issue that happened, a bit of a falling out, and long-standing show, great audience. A pretty average audience, a little over 2.5 million. Before I took it over and went from 2 hosts, a man and a woman, to a bald guy with a beard by himself. So I'm trying to captivate that audience again. But now I like to use that show to.
How long have you been doing the second one?
Oh man, goodness, probably a good 6 months now.
Okay.
And luckily I haven't lost a lot of the audience, but now for that show I like to utilize the concepts of, okay, what makes somebody successful? How do you apply that into business?
Yeah.
What does it take to be successful in a business landscape? What does it take to be a successful leader?
Yeah.
How do you influence people in a way that they continuously take action to grow, to improve, to hold themselves even more accountable? But I really love what I do. It's great to be able to interview people like yourself. It's hard for me to be here and not want to interview you, if I'm being honest.
It's okay. This is just a conversation. Feel free to fire away. So tell me, what have you noticed, or have you even noticed? Do you find that the between the 2 shows that the audiences are similar, or do you find them to be different?
Very similar.
Are they very similar?
Very similar.
Okay.
And that was
And do you feel like it's changed at all, particularly like with the one that you took over? Has it changed the demographics of the show?
a little bit. Yes. Yes. Yeah. I'll be honest. I'm not the most attractive host in the world. I like to
Come on,
share
man.
good insights, and I'm pretty raw and real. And on television, I have to be a little reserved. FCC is
reserved.
fun to deal with, but the audience is very blend. It's very similar audience. A lot of it is the same audience.
Yeah.
And ideally that's a good thing, because
Yeah.
I like to try to separate the criteria a little bit and have fun with it. But I've gotten a lot of outreach of people that genuinely love the show. They love the content. They love the conversations. And to me, I don't need much. I just want to know that what I'm doing, what I'm saying, the things that I've lived, the things I've done is helping somebody out there.
Sure.
Right? That's the goal ultimately. It's impact. That's
Yeah.
why my business is Impact Strategies.
It's a good name. Is that how you came up with it? The name of the business?
Because one thing I said to my business partner, who was my mentor, my boss originally, now is my business partner, it was very simply put, my philosophy is to give 100% and expect nothing in return. Mm-hmm. As long as I have some room to do that, I'm happy. Because I just want to make an impact. You don't take all this stuff with you when you go, but if there's anything I've learned from people I've looked up to for years, Jim Rohn, T.D. Jakes, Eric Thomas, goodness, there's so many of them out there, is when you go, something is going to be left behind. Mm-hmm. Will it last for a year, generation, a couple more? Or could it be last forever? Maybe your name won't be remembered, but your impact sure can be.
Sure.
So now my biggest fear is I want to be remembered, not so much my name, but my impact.
Yeah.
So it kind of all bled into the business where I just like to help people. That's it.
So tell me a little about some of the guests that you've had the opportunity to interview.
Oh, goodness. So many that are incredible. A great example, a gentleman that I got to interview a while back, and now he has his own show, which is blowing up. His name's Dr. Jesse Henson.
Okay.
He's actually one of the founders of mentalhealth.com. Incredible guy. He's literally a life changer. Mm-hmm. His entire life is now centered around helping other people change in mighty, mighty ways. He's an incredible gentleman that I've got to interview. One in particular that got to interview a few very big firm owners and people that really, it's business owners that know what it takes. They've been there, they've done it, they've failed many times, and they've won a few times. But they failed enough to know how to share the experience.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I like about Now Media Television, especially, is we're here for everyday leaders and entrepreneurs. So we interview everyday leaders and entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
But those that may have, taken a couple beatings.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, one of the best ways that I've heard failure be communicated in terms of business is something that I saw Layla Hormozi say. And the way that she put it was, failure is not failure. Failure is information.
Ooh.
Right? And I just thought that was so powerful because, when you think about that a little bit, it's like, if you don't put yourself out there to fail in the first place, you don't get any information, right? Yep. So get out there, fail, you get information, go back, retool, go back out there, maybe fail, maybe not, right? Maybe you get better, right? And eventually you get to success because you have information. And you take that information and you build it into something that eventually leads to success.
I like the way you put that.
Yeah. I'm going to give credit to Layla Hormozi for that one. Something that I picked up off of one of her reels on Facebook. Yep. And it was, I was like, wow, what an awesome way to put that.
Kind of reminds me of I recently was speaking to a high school student who was asking questions, see my show, fun conversation, but he was asking me questions, how do I gain knowledge and how do I become successful? I said, well, if you're going to sit here and talk about knowledge, I need you to understand something very serious. Number one, knowledge is not power. Whoever came up with that saying, it's baloney.
Yeah.
Applied knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. But you don't really receive the courage to apply that knowledge consistently until you've gained wisdom. And wisdom and knowledge are two different things.
Sure.
Knowledge is gained by watching the battle from a distance. You can study it. You can see it. You can interpret it. Wisdom's gained when you're in the battle. Mm-hmm. Wisdom is what gives you the courage to continue to apply that knowledge. And when you get knocked down, you get back up. And like I said, I don't have a college education, but there's no one on the planet that could ever tell me I can't do something.
Yeah.
Because if I need to learn something, I can teach myself. It's not a problem.
Sure.
We have supercomputers in our pockets.
Yeah.
goodness, we have access to pretty much all the knowledge in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I had mentioned that to somebody not too long ago. I forget who it was, but we were talking about the power of what's in our pockets these days, right? And I'll give you an example. I had a client that I had hired years ago to write blog posts for me. And it didn't take long, but with the advent of AI, he went out of business. That business kaput after, because the fact of the matter is that, and this is where it was, I don't remember who I was talking with, but I was like, I could write and you could write a blog post on brain surgery.
Yep.
Right. Now, it may not be 100% right, but we could whip that up on our phones in a matter of seconds these days. Right. So to be able to educate yourself, and I think that's the power of the technology age that we have these days.
I mean, it's a tool like anything else. It can be used for the right things or the wrong things.
Sure.
And, I don't know, just kind of always seen it as, hey, well, if I've got an opportunity to grow and improve, there's nothing better to invest in than myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So might as well find something interesting and just dive into it until I figure it out, right?
There you go. There you go.
First time I tore apart a washer. Well, I had no choice but to figure it out if I wanted to clean my clothes again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or go buy a new one.
Right, exactly.
So you mentioned earlier that you were a wrestler.
Yeah, so growing up, come from Michigan. It's a very popular sport there. My grandfather, my uncles, other grandfather, my father, my brothers, all of us wrestlers growing up. Father was a state champ, grandfather state champ, older brother, he placed state, younger brother got pulled out because of epilepsy. And I was in and out of wrestling. I had a lot of surgeries when I was young, and it caused a lot of internal bleeding and other things, so I had to be kind of careful. But it was one of those things where you got to be, it's controlled violence, controlled aggression, but it was discipline all at the same time. It gave an outlet for someone like me to be a little aggressive and violent, but appropriate, right? Where I was trying to keep out of trouble for things. But, growing up in wrestling taught me a lot of stuff, taught you how to kind of grit your teeth and deal with it anyway.
And I've always found it interesting where some of it's a little weather driven, but it's interesting where up in Michigan in the north, that wrestling is something that's very popular, but down here, not so much. Here in Houston, Pearland area,
it's
right?
growing down here a little bit.
Is it?
When we first moved down here, because at the same time that I moved down here, my brother and sister-in-law, they got teaching offers down here. So we're like, okay, this is our chance. Let's get out of Michigan. Let's go. And they wanted him to immediately be a wrestling coach because it really was such a small, it just wasn't very big down here. And it's grown quite a bit, but great example, my younger brother came to visit right after we moved here. He was a senior in high school. He had wrestled in state a couple times, and he wrestled two of the state champions for weight classes above him and pinned him in the first 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
It's just a different level, and as it grows down here, but it's like football. High school football down here, very different than high school football up north.
Yeah.
The children down here feeding something different. I don't understand. Some of them are massive. Goodness. But
Probably got something to do with the cattle.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That Nolan Ryan beef's pretty good.
And then I guess some of the other things. Any like hockey or anything? Because that's another one of those sports that up north very popular, down here not so much.
I was more into the field hockey.
That's a little more obvious in terms of weather, right? I mean,
yeah.
We get a freeze once every 5 years, or I should say snow like once every 5 years, maybe a little more frequent here recently.
Oh yeah, and I still find it funny that everything shuts down here, and I'm just like, this is nothing.
People in the north make salt trucks when it snows down here, but
my wife,
we're not. The infrastructure's not there though,
exactly.
right?
That is the truth.
You guys got those salt trucks and the plows up north, but none of that exists down here, so it's just kind of an interesting distinction.
But outside of wrestling, lacrosse. I absolutely loved lacrosse. It's pretty much field hockey, except for you can't throw punches as often as you can in hockey. But it's funny, good part of the season, you're playing in the snow.
Yeah.
And you're in shorts, in a T-shirt with pads, a helmet, and a metal stick that you get to hit each other with. And a really hard rubber ball that freezes solid. So fun sport. It's another one of those aggressive type physical contact sports, but a lot of fun. My first year ever trying it, I was varsity. I just was small and fast, and I guess I was good at hitting people with a stick. I don't know. It became very natural, but it was fun. It was, like I said, I wasn't the collegiate type. I had an opportunity to, pursue scholarship for lacrosse, things like that. But I wanted to weld. I wanted to do it. I was good at it. I knew I could make some good money. And I was like, okay, I want to take it out of Michigan. I'm tired of the cold, tired of the snow. Moved down here thinking, oh, this is going to be like a desert, like old Wild West. You know, it's not going to be so green and humid. I thought it was going to be dry heat and sand everywhere.
Yeah.
I was very wrong when I came to Houston.
Yeah. You want the dry heat, you got to go to Arizona.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I figured that
especially
out.
Especially down here near Galveston, right?
Yeah.
You get a little further north, it dries out a little bit. We talked a little bit about exits.
Yes.
What is like your exit plan? Do you mind me asking?
Absolutely. No, this is a fun conversation. I try to use it as a good example because I will never exit.
Yeah.
Not entirely.
Yeah.
Because when you really pursue what you receive fulfillment from, do you really ever want to stop?
I know. I have to say I feel the exact same way. I mean, I have a brother. The only thing he's thinking about is he's close to retirement. And I'm like, really? I don't want to retire. Like ever.
Yeah, just change the things you don't really care to do and only do the things you love.
My wife is kind of in a similar boat, although she's looking at it from a different perspective. She knows she wants to do other things after she retires from education. I don't understand the concept of retirement. I look at it from an accounting perspective, right? What does retire mean? Right.
Yep.
You're taking an asset and retiring it. What does that mean? You're probably taking it down to the junkyard to get crushed and smashed, right?
In a lot of cases,
and I just don't want that to be my fate, right? I want to keep going. I want to keep contributing.
Exactly. Whenever I work with a business owner, I always have to have an extremely hard conversation right from the get-go. Because if we can't have this conversation, then we're not going to work together well.
Yeah.
And it's fulfillment.
Yeah.
Is what you're doing now leaving you fulfilled, or is it just
draining
an idea to, fill your bank account?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah.
Because if it does not fulfill you, it will not sustain.
Yeah.
When the days get hard, when willpower runs out, discipline is what sticks. And if you are not fulfilled by it, you can't be very disciplined in it. Like with me, my business, I love consulting. I don't want to do it forever. What I want to do is I want to motivate others. I want to inspire others. And honestly, I love introducing Jesus. I love it. I love introducing Jesus to the business world.
Yeah.
And to people that, don't really understand what they're missing yet. And that's okay. You know, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I just want to spend my years, my old years, or even now, if I could do it right now, I just want to spend it in front of people, either one-to-one or on stages or in workshops, helping them become the better versions of themselves through the teachings of the Bible. A lot of the methodologies I use are found in the Bible.
How impactful, right? You know, he was crucified a couple thousand years ago. Yeah. And he's still,
it's still super relevant. And it's
super relevant.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Because we're called to follow that.
Yes.
That means to be with your rabbi. That means to be in prayer and to be in study. That means to be like your rabbi, and that is peaceful.
100%.
Be graceful, be kind, to live that way, and then to do as he did, and that is to serve. That is to sacrifice. And I'm sorry, but, it kind of changed my perspective of what masculinity and leadership is, if you ask me. Mm-hmm. To serve is to be a leader.
Yeah.
No successful leader has ever been a dictator.
No.
It just doesn't last. It really can't. That's why one of the big things I like to talk about when I deal with bigger businesses is, hey, this concept of a pyramid is incorrect. Flip it upside down as a tree.
Yeah.
Your directors, your executives, they're the roots. They give you the ground to stand on. Mm-hmm. That trunk is the managers, the leaders that are providing that
That's
resource
a great way to
people.
look at it. That's
the
such a great way to look at it.
branches are supervisors and leaders, and the leaves are the employees, and the goal is to grab as much sunlight and grow as much as possible. But the truth is, the higher you climb, really the lower you are, because the more people you serve. That's a big reason why I was able to go from a welder to a guy running a company without a degree, is because I realized I didn't have to be the expert of anything. I didn't. Mm-hmm. I just had to build a good relationship. I had to make sure they knew that I would go to bat for them no matter what. But I would stay firm on what's acceptable and what's not. But at the same time, I just had to understand how to get the experts to work together.
Yeah.
That was it. I didn't need to have all the answers. I just needed to know how they operate so that I could get them to put their heads together, come up with solutions. And when it's their idea,
even better,
then I got to test their resolve. Mm-hmm. I need to poke holes in it as much as I can. Then they get defending it, and now they're going to implement it, and it sticks.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to be wrong.
Nice.
It's all service. It's all servitude. That's all it is. Just being a big servant. That is to be a leader in a business. That's why I really don't think you need to have a degree to be a good leader.
I totally agree with you. I kind of look at it from my perspective. I worked really hard to go to college. Now, I was much like you. I was a terrible student, okay? A terrible student. When I first started, I was doing nothing but fail my classes. And I did eventually go back. I want to say it was my early 30s. I decided I would go back to college. And I was on academic probation because my grades were so bad. I mean, they were that bad. It was I was like at well under a 2.0 average when I decided to go back, right? But from that point forward, I mean, I remember the very first semester, I got all A's, and I want to say I took 18 hours worth of class.
Wow.
Right? First semester back, 18 hours, all A's.
Wow.
Right? And then from there, I was just off to the races. But here's what I'd say about it is I feel like the education system is really not meant for most people like you and me.
Agreed.
I mean, it was not set up for us, right? I'm a very visual learner. You throw a book in front of me, I want to throw it out.
Yep.
Okay.
Same way.
But what I knew when I went back to college was that I knew that I'd have to bust my ass to get what I needed. And from that point forward, it became, if I can just grind it out harder than anybody else in the classroom, I'll eventually get to where I need to go.
Yeah.
With all of that said, right, I eventually got my CPA and all of that. But I praise you for being where you are without any of that. Because, and here's the thing that I think is that, you know, I look at it from my perspective now, and I'm like, what if you were to take that master's degree and throw it out? What if you were to take my CPA certificate and just throw it out, right? What do you get? How have I changed? How different am I? Is the knowledge in my brain different because of these pieces of paper?
There's a personality trait that changed, though. And this is something that clicked with me when I was listening to you just there.
Yeah.
There was some point where you decided, I've got to change this.
Yes.
I've got to take this seriously.
Yeah.
Capitalize on the opportunity.
A certain
and just
level of maturity there. Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone's got that point. For those that are successful without that, whether you have an education or not, every successful person has that point where they decided, I've got to do this.
Yeah.
I've got to change.
Yeah.
The path I'm going is not working.
Right.
I've got to pivot, right? And that to me is one of the most incredible things amongst human beings that I can find is that moment, that point where something clicks and we change our trajectory completely.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is you don't realize how capable you are until you're backed into a corner.
Yeah. It's adversity.
Adversity really is a beautiful thing, but that's also why I don't understand this whole gentle parenting thing either.
Oh gosh, no,
goodness.
that stuff's ridiculous.
I let my son do dangerous things carefully, and I push him to try again if he fails. I mean, that's just what it is.
You know, I mean, I was that way with my son, you know, just letting him do, you know, obviously with supervision, right? But to wrap him up in bubble wrap and then send him out into the world. No, I mean, look, when we were kids, right? I remember when I was a kid that my brother and we were riding to the total opposite side of town. And now, now that I you know, driving through the area and I'm kind of recalling, it's like, holy crap, I remember when my brother and I were riding here, we must be 10 miles from home. And we did this on our bikes when we were like 8 or 9. The generation where it was like they had PSAs on TV saying, "Are your children home yet?"
Yeah.
or the rule at the time was once the street lights come on,
was our rule too.
You've got to be at home, right? And so that was kind of the way.
But now things are so different. I mean, the world's gotten crazy. Which, you know, maybe our parents felt the same way. I mean, maybe not really because we were able to do those things. But now,
here's kind of what I wonder about, Ryan, is did the world change, or was it the 24-hour news cycle that kind of hit the scene with cable TV? You know, because do you think all these bad things were happening and maybe we just didn't know it was happening? Or is it the opposite? Did it all start happening after the fact?
Combination. Because if there's one thing I see that's a big cycle, it's hard times make hard people. Hard people make soft times make soft people, and the cycle just continues. Our time, there were some hard people.
Yeah.
They were making soft times. Now we were safe. We had things that we needed. You know, even I was lower on the bottom because we had everything we needed. We weren't unsafe in any way, but it bred a generation. Unfortunately, a lot of my generation is quite soft. And a lot of the people I went to school with, it's funny. We had our 10-year reunion. I didn't go. I wanted to, but my heart was not in the right place to go because I was counted out by my class as I was supposed to be the biggest failure. But it's crazy to see that those times have created people that just don't have the grit. They don't have the attitude. They don't have the discipline to do what's necessary. Where my father modeled that. My mother modeled that. My older brother, thank God he modeled that too. But it's those hard people make soft times make soft people, and the cycle just keeps repeating. But it is a combination because influence dictates all of our thoughts, and our thoughts are what lead to actions, whether it is procrastination or I'm going to tackle that now.
Yeah.
And when you get exposed to all the terrible things in the world, that's a lot of influence. It's not like, I don't know if I want my kid to ride his bike across town.
That's the negative to our phones.
Yes.
Right? Don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you something that I did here not too long ago, which I thought was fascinating. I'm sure you've probably heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Okay. He had mentioned something. You know, he was talking about, I don't know, someone was complaining about something. The world was on fire or something. You know how it is. You're seeing all this negative stuff on your feed and all of that, right? Well, I'll certainly admit I was a little bit guilty of seeing a lot of that negativity. And I started to do some different things with my phone based on that one reel that I saw from Gary Vaynerchuk. And that was, I started, rather than commenting, oh, that guy's an idiot, and I'm going to tell him, right, to I'm going to like all of these positive things, right? And I'm going to mark not interested on all of the stuff that I don't want to see. And then now all of a sudden my feed is completely different. I'm seeing so many more of the people that are my friends on Facebook, right? And now that doesn't mean you're completely eliminated from all of the negative, but you don't have to comment on it or put anything there.
It's, you pour out what you pour in.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a rapper, Tom McDonald.
Yeah.
He's
I like that guy.
Not everyone's taste, but he said something that rings true. If you eat at McDonald's, you're going to get fat. If you listen to garbage, your head fills with trash. Really simple line, but it does apply all the same because realistically, whatever influence you have is the world you're laying out in front of you.
Yeah.
Because it dictates all those thoughts. But yes, no, it's a tool. You can use it. So like for me, if I see something bad, I try to remind myself is like, okay, this is a time for me to pray for something. Yeah. For someone, for something. But I can like all these things that are good. And it's just like for 6 years straight, my mentor told me something. He said, when you wake up, he said, the first thing that you need to put in your mind is something good, something healthy, or something lighting a fire under your tail end. I said, okay. So every day for 6 years, I still do it most every day. Jim Rohn, T.D. Jakes, Eric Thomas, all these speakers. I've received a college education from speakers by just listening, but tuning in. And just the first thing I do is I wake up and have Eric Thomas yelling at me. Oh, man, that's good influence right there. I'm ready to tackle the day. I don't entertain bad influence right now.
Who are some of your favorites? You got any other ones?
Jim Rohn, 100%.
Yeah,
he is that guy changed my entire life. Dr. Miles Monroe, he's up there. He's got material out there about, the eagle and the lion. I could recite every bit of most things that guy said. So I would say that's a huge one. Eric Thomas, T.D. Jakes, I would say Les Brown. As a matter of fact, I got to co-author in a book that he was part of, which is absolutely incredible.
You have a book?
So I've got one being published right now.
Okay.
And my first opportunity ever to be published anything was I was asked to join the Change series by Jim Britt.
Okay.
Jim Britt, Jim Lutz, and Les Brown. That was kind of their collaboration. It's called the Change series. They find unique people from all around the world, leaders that have interesting stories and have value to give. And Jim Britt was was Jim Rohn's business partner and one of Tony Robbins' original mentors.
Okay.
And I've watched this guy's material all throughout growing up in high school and just trying to okay, how can I soak this in? And I met somebody who said, hey, I need to introduce you to somebody. I was like, okay, cool. He gave me an email introduction to Jim Britt. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I had no idea this is who he was going to introduce me to. And the guy spelled me out so well. I never knew someone could see me this way.
Yeah. As
a talented young man who's inspirational. And Jim Britt said, hey, let's get on a 30-minute phone call. 30 minutes turned into 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
By the end of that conversation, he said, I want to invite you to co-author this next book. I'll have you write a chapter in it.
That's exciting.
And most of the other people in the book have doctor in front of their name.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm just this welder guy who taught himself some business and developed a mentality of I'm not going to lose. I might fall down, but I'm going to get back up. But I wrote a chapter in that, and that turned into I love writing. I never knew I would write. I never thought of myself as a good writer. It got me keynotes from that one chapter, which blew me away. And then I decided I'm going to write something else. I have a book now that's being published. It's called Breaking the Circle. It's a concept my business partner and I, we put it together while we were transforming this company. And that is the methodology we used to transform that company that led to the exit. Now it's pretty much the methodology we use for every business we deal with.
Nice.
And I figured this is working so well consistently. Let's put it in a book. And it's all about breaking the cycles of procrastination. The biggest problem I've found in any leader, any business, any team is the silent procrastination, the stuff that we're avoiding. But it all starts with influence that leads to your thoughts and to your actions. But the breakdown is when your thoughts don't turn into action.
Yeah.
Puts you in a circle. Procrastination, then to emotions, worry, and guilt, and then complacency. But that'll be coming out soon. And I wrote that book, the entire book, in 3 months.
Wow.
I had no idea I would do that. It took me almost 3 months to write that one chapter for the Change series.
Yeah.
But I don't know, God put something on my heart, and it just happened. And as soon as I got in touch with the publisher and got that book going, I felt called to write another book.
Okay.
And this is, I think, going to be the major pivotal part of who I am, where I go in life. And it's called The Hypocrisy of Becoming.
Okay.
It's living as who God called you to be.
Okay.
And one thing you'll see consistently throughout the Bible, and to anyone that knows even a little bit,
Yeah.
God calls identity over people well before they ever were. He signs that deal. He says, this is what it is. This is who you are. Whether you fight it or not, that's who you end up becoming. His will be done, whether you like it or not. But
Yep.
a lot of us have no idea who or what we're called to be. But as soon as you can find that and understand that, you can just be that right now.
So tell me, how do you know?
Simple.
Okay.
Very, very simple. A lot of people can overcomplicate this. Fulfillment.
Okay.
And when you feel the Spirit move, that's how you know you're in the right space.
Okay.
For me, it's
Very cool.
one-on-one mentorship and guiding others. I love it more than anything else. If I can be the megaphone for a message that God needs someone to hear, it's all I could ever dream of.
Now, there is one other thing that you mentioned that we haven't really talked much about now, and I know it's something that you love because you told me this when we had coffee, and that's speaking.
Yep.
You love doing keynotes. Who are you talking to people about too?
Yeah, so first and foremost, I always got to lead this way. I'm not the best speaker out there, and that's okay with me. But I love it, and I love that it does connect with some people. But ultimately, the first keynote I ever gave, and it's still very powerful, it is I focused on my story a little bit, and it's my 4 principles for success.
Okay.
And I started by a story of kind of why I had the fire under my rump to chase my dreams and pursue things. And it was all because a good old time capsule that my 8th grade class did together. It led to senior year, a really big surprise that made me so angry and spiteful for a while that spite turned into motivation, and things changed. But my first keynote was all about that, and it's those 4 principles to success. The other keynotes I really absolutely love giving is like the concept of my books and stuff like that. But it's all about becoming you, doing what it is that you dream of and not letting anything stop you.
Can you share the 4 principles?
Yes. So number 1, purpose.
Okay.
It is the foundation that a life, legacy, and empire is built. Plain and simple. Is you have to know why you're here. Why do you wake up in the morning? Why do you go to this job?
And that
What is
goes
it that
back to
drives you?
fulfillment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then the second principle is discipline. You may have your foundation of purpose. Discipline is the engine that builds upon that foundation. If you don't have discipline, you can't expect to build very high or very wide. Self-belief. That is the glue that holds purpose to discipline tightly. If you don't believe that you're capable, if you don't believe in yourself, it's just not possible. You're going to fall, you're going to crumple, and even the toughest of us, even though we've done some cool things, sometimes we struggle to believe we can make things happen, but then that brings me to the 4th principle. Surround yourself with the right people. Because when your belief wanes, when you start to crumble a little bit, you get weak occasionally, the right people around you, they're going to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
They're going to build you up. They're going to tell you when you suck, and they really want you to win.
Yeah.
So between purpose, discipline, belief, in the right circle, there's nothing you cannot accomplish. But if one of those pieces is not established and understood, you can't really expect a whole lot.
That's awesome. Well, you've spilled a lot. So tell you what, I want to close by letting you get into the shoes that you're most comfortable with for just a minute, and you can ask me. Why don't we trade hats for a minute?
I'm excited for this.
All right, let's go.
I was collecting some of these questions, as a matter of fact. So number one of the most important questions I think I could possibly ask you is, what was it that changed that made you want to take things seriously and nose to grindstone and to figure out that dream and just move? What was it?
It was not all one single event, I guess. And here's what I would say is that, back when I sucked as a student, it wasn't just that I sucked as a student. I definitely did. Okay. But it was also the fact that I was drinking. I mean, I was doing all the dumb crap that kids do in their 20s. And eventually what happened was I ended up, I had a son. And, now he's turning 3, 4. He's probably getting smart enough where he can figure stuff out, right? And I'm saying to myself that, okay, I never want him to see me like that drunk.
Yep.
Okay, so that was kind of the first step that was like, okay, I got to wise up. So quit the drinking, and then that was when, you know what? A lot of people don't. I mean, it's you as an alcoholic, as a drinker, you don't realize this until you're fully sober. And I mean, you're not drinking at all, but you've always got this fog in your mind, in my opinion, that is clouding everything, your judgment and everything. And that all just kind of went away. And now I have a clear understanding of where I am, which was a brutally honest truth that I'm maybe not wanting to face, but I was forced to at that time. Otherwise, because what I would have done, when I got sober was that, well, now it's time to drink again because I don't want to be in that space, right? But that drive with my son is what really kind of led me down the path, first of sobriety, to then eventually going back to school. And just by chance, I took an accounting course and I aced the first exam. And I'm like, all right, this is it. Yep. I'm getting my CPA, right? And then I went to college and eventually got into public accounting for a while. And I really enjoyed public accounting. I loved doing financial statement audits because it was a project that I could kind of crack open the business and see how it ticked and how it operated. The big thing that I disliked about it was because of independence rules, you can't really do anything to help the client, right? Yep. And as an auditor, I mean, I loved the work, but it was like, I always felt like the referee throwing the flag on the football field, like you screwed up. Now, and that's, I hated being the guy throwing the flag. I wanted to be the guy that rolled up his sleeves and started to help.
Yeah, not just identify problems, but hey, here's an ideal solution.
So that was how I ended up taking the path of helping small business owners. So that's so it wasn't just one single moment. There were a number of moments along the way, but that was kind of the path, and I have found it to be so incredibly fulfilling. But I will say this, and I'm going to talk a little bit about being a golf pro for just a minute. Because
I wanted to get there.
Because one of the things that I really loved about being a golf pro was really teaching someone. And I feel like I've always been a pretty good teacher. But one of the most frustrating things is getting that student that they come to you, they pay you the fee to get your lesson, and then the next time they come, they haven't even touched their golf clubs yet. It's a building process. I've even told students, teaching them how to hold the golf club right. I go, you don't have to do anything. Just watch TV and hold the club.
Yep.
Get it in your hands and get it to where you're comfortable holding it that way, and it'll be easier when you go to the driving range. They wouldn't even do that. So the reason I bring up that story is that even today, and in my current portfolio of clients, I've got those clients that just don't want to help themselves, right? We do the work and we help them, but the ones that I find are the most rewarding are the ones that go from not knowing the difference between a balance sheet and a balance beam to in a year going, Mark, my margins aren't where I need them to be. Or, hey, Mark, I've got 23% net profit this month. And they're like, and when they start to make that transition to being able to talk that language with you, that is what's fulfilling. That is fulfillment.
That was actually going to lead to my next question is, what part of this actually gives you that fulfillment?
Yeah.
And I think you really identified that well. But the next part, though, is what disciplines have you been able to really apply that keep you moving forward, even when things get hard?
I would say and this is a lesson that you were talking about earlier, is people, getting the right people around you. It has taken me a long time to really kind of extricate myself from the day-to-day operations of the business and find a person that would do it, I would say probably 95% of the way that I would.
That's
right.
Really good.
And that percentage is probably way higher than is probably necessary or most people are going to accept. It didn't happen on purpose that way, but basically training that, I meet with my team every single day. We do a daily huddle to talk about issues and things going on. But we also meet weekly in person at my house so that we can do training and get even more detailed in terms of, I feel like that non-billable or administrative time, if you will, to bond as a team, to identify the issues and figure out where we're weak and help to buttress some of those weaknesses a little bit. So it's really about people and as far as me directly, I would say it is relinquishing some level of control. That's the hardest. If you're a small business owner, and I can so feel your pain, right? It is so hard to do that. I learned this lesson from somebody that I used to do audits with, although the payoff wasn't as good. But the partner that I worked with would say, Mark, you've got to train your people. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? I can do this in 5 minutes. It's going to take me an hour to teach this over here, right? I can do it in 5 minutes. And it's like, the downside with audit was that my teammate was going to roll off to some other team and the next person is going to benefit from all of my hard work, right? But now that I own my own business, it's totally different. All that time that is invested in the team is now multiplied to me over and over and over again. It's fun to look back and go, I can walk away from the business at least for a time and everything is going to work without any problem. And an example of that was this past October. I was able to fly to Syracuse, help my son move from Syracuse, New York, all the way to Camp Pendleton. And I basically took the entire month of October off.
Freedom.
The entire month. And while I was in touch with my team from time to time, there was never a red flag that went up that said emergency. They were able to handle everything. And that is a very fulfilling thing too, because not only is that great news for our clients because they'll be taken care of whether or not I'm there or not. But it's also, we were talking a little about service earlier. It's fun to see the growth in my team too, because it's just amazing to watch.
It's what you're doing is helping others, but the discipline that I see, it is consistent discipline to serve others, to train others. That's servant leadership. You're leading others in a way that they're getting better. They're improving. You're able to delegate responsibility to them, and that's a good discipline to have. Your discipline is pouring out into others. I mean, I can't think of much better discipline than that.
But it's funny that you mentioned that because discipline is one of those things that I believe is easier with certain things than other things.
Definitely.
Right? And you grow into it too, because I will say that, it was obviously very hard in the beginning to start giving up some of that control. It's a whole lot easier now because when you start to reap the benefits of some of that, that's when you realize, that discipline was probably a good thing. And as a business owner, I talked about the Hormozis earlier. I like Alex Hormozi is another one that I really enjoy watching. And he always, one of the things that he'll say is that if when you're running your business, if you don't feel like you're eating glass every single day, you're probably doing it wrong. Right. And I always found that to be kind of interesting, but you get better and better at eating the glass, but you once you got to that point where you can pass this off, now it's time to find that other thing that you need to break down and start dealing with. And eventually, that will eventually fall away. Right. like one of these, right now, the big focus that I have, because I'm trying to expand my reach.
Yeah.
Another thing we talked about earlier was that, as a business owner, you're limited by the amount of time that you have. That's, if all you have is your time to sell, you're capped out.
Yep.
Right. And now I'm not involved in the sales of it anymore. And now that's the focus is sales. I want to be able to expand our reach and communicate our message that you need to know your numbers to a much broader, wider audience. And I can't do that if I'm the only person in the business. So that's where it is. And one of the things that I'm weak at right now is the social media, the marketing, and the sales, and that sort of thing.
That's
so anyway,
where
that was a
people
lot
are struggling right now. Majority of my clients, they're struggling in those areas. It's just one of those things where if you, just like with anything else that we want to learn and take seriously, if you take some time to educate yourself, to study it, put some discipline towards it, meaning be consistent with your posting.
And being uncomfortable. Do things you're uncomfortable with.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's funny because that's actually one of the bumper stickers in one of my keynotes. It's you've got to get really uncomfortable being uncomfortable. Because like if you do what's hard, life will become easy. But if you keep doing what's easy, life's only going to get harder. So if you know what's hard right now, what scares you, maybe you should try to capitalize on it a little bit.
Yeah,
try it. Give it a shot. But social media is one of those things where a lot of people struggle because consistency. And it's just like in any investment.
Yep.
Any investment. It's not going to blow up immediately, not all the time. It does happen sometimes, but just putting that little bit in each day with pure intention, and things can change.
I think it was Jim Collins where I heard this, reading his book Good to Great, which is he's one of my favorite business authors, and that's definitely my favorite business book. But he makes a comment in that book, if I'm not mistaken, that what people don't realize is that overnight success took 20 years.
Yep.
Right.
It's like the compound effect. They explain it really well in that book as well. It's,
Darren Hardy.
Yep. When you think it might be, to some it might look like an overnight success, but you don't see all the years, disciplines, and dedication.
Did you read? Have you read the Jim Collins book?
I feel like I have. Yeah. I feel like it's been a while though.
He has a great analogy in there about the chicken and the egg, right?
Yep.
And he's talking about how nothing's happening at egg right now, but it's growing and growing and growing, and then all of a sudden, boom. It cracks out of the shell, and egg becomes chicken. Big news, egg's chicken now, right? and that's the way people think of these overnight. And they're like, why? I guess this microwave culture, the social media culture is everybody expects it to happen overnight, and you've got to do the boring, hard, disciplined things if you're going to ever get to the point where you break out of the egg and become the chicken, right?
That is the absolute truth. It just requires the stepping out into uncomfortable zones consistently until you just get comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
With the purpose, with the discipline. You've shared a lot about the belief in yourself and able to do this and how that is. What can you say about the circle of people you surround yourself with a little bit more on the equal side, the mentors, the guiders, the friends that held you accountable even when it sucked? What could you say about that?
Well, the first person that comes to mind is my wife. She has this ability to, she's an educator. So, if I'm doing something stupid, I can usually tell, she'll be scrolling through my feed and go, she'll either say like, that was a really good post, or why the hell did you post that with the teacher look, right? And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe that wasn't such a good. So she's my biggest fan and my biggest critic. Yeah. And I love that about her for sure. But it's meeting people like you I love having conversations, just the people that I've met in the Pearland community, my clients even, because a lot of my clients, they're obviously, bigger than we are. And just having those people in my lives to be able to bounce ideas off of. A lot of the guests that I've already had on the show have been like that, and just that I'm friends with, and I can throw, bounce ideas off of and that sort of thing.
The shared perspective and influence. It can make all the difference. It really can.
Yeah. What do they say? You're the average of the five people that you surround yourself with. Yeah. So anyway, Ryan, man, I loved our conversation. Thank you so much. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we
Really, the only thing I've got to say is this was an absolute pleasure. Getting to learn more about you has been an absolute incredible experience. I love finding like-minded people that have incredible stories and really position themselves to serve others. So it's been an honor for me to be here.
Tell us, if somebody wants to employ you guys or engage you guys in your services, tell us a little about how they can reach out.
Easiest way is you can find me on LinkedIn, Ryan Herpin. You could find my website, impactstrategiesc.com. Those are two really easy ways to get a hold of me or my team directly. If you go to my LinkedIn, you're going to get me directly. I manage that one 100%. I enjoy it. But, we offer, free consultation. We're always open to learning about people's position, and we try to give away as much value as we possibly can because that's just who we are.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for listening, and I appreciate it. We will talk to you on the next episode of Business on the Run with Mark Andersen.